caretaker of a state. You know, I've been into my understanding is different from all other pastors' understanding. What I saw in politics, you can't see it from the pulpit. God gave me the understanding of how Nigerian nation works. Nigeria is one country but different nation. Anybody that says Nigeria is a nation missed it. Nigeria is not a nation. It's a country, all right. We can live together, but on an agreeable term. Oh, don't let me go there. The most pitiable tribe is the Igbo nation. Igbo nation is to be mostly pitied. I am not a fan of Nnamdi Kanu, but he has reason to become the leader of his people. Let Biafra be. Let them live their life. Let Yoruba live their life. Let Hausa live their life. Let Fulani live their life. Let's come on the top and just have a union. But to subject all other tribes under one tribe, no. Somebody say no. No. Say Donald Trump, come. Say, save us. We are almost being driven to extinction. Christians are an endangered species in Nigeria. The plan is on. They are everywhere. All this kidnapping, all this banditry, you think their powers are behind it. I don't know how the president will do it. I know he's a very courageous man. I know our President Bola Tinubu is a very courageous man. He's an experienced politician. But I don't know how he will confront this. Because the power behind this genocide, the power behind this banditry, the power behind Boko Haram, the power behind kidnapping, the power... Those of us in Lagos and South, we don't know what's going on. Not where it's a totally different country. It's an Islamic republic. There is no, in all the 12 key Sharia states in the north, there is no church that can be given CFO to build. It's a haram. You can't. Is that one country? No, go and find out. Go and carry out all research. You can never. Church to them is an anathema. Anyway, I'm not going that direction.
Ted Cruz, the U.S. Senator, has made it very clear that Nigeria's Sharia and other policies make it easy and possible for the Christian population to be persecuted and slaughtered. With the clip of video you just watched before the commentary, you will now understand that Ted Cruz was absolutely correct without mincing words. Look at the testimony of the preacher of the gospel, validating the position of the U.S. Senate that the Sharia law admitted in Nigeria, despite being a secular state, is the foundation of the persecution of Christians. The annihilation, the genocide, the sponsored attacks to eliminate the Christian faith and population was laid through the foundation of Sharia. When you consider prior to the Sharia, the escalation of extremism, Islamic extremism and drive was not as well pronounced as you can see at this particular time. So upon making the investigations, they have come to realize from the findings that Sharia was the bedrock of the foundation of Christian persecution in Nigeria. And that was the brain, the brain behind the drive of Christian persecution. He made it very clear that Sharia law and other policies aids and supports, promotes Christian persecution and slaughter, the massacring of Christians in Nigeria would not have been possible without this indices revealed. Without messing words, there is no argument about these developments. Now, taking an instance, the predominant Sharia states in the Northeast, according to this preacher, the gospel preacher, do not allow the CEO or do not issue CEO certificate of occupants for any ministry or church within that defined region. He said, go and make investigations. There are other policies that are promoting the persecution of Christians. He's now asking, is it one country? One country, different law entirely. A country supposedly considered to be a secular state, but in practice is an Islamic state. He's saying now that the Northeast and Northwest are purely, entirely Islamic Caliphate, Islamic Republic. Because citizens are not allowed to express their religious liberty, they are being constrained and systematically persecuted. Their fundamental right of religious affiliations and associations is being usurped, is not being allowed to express, citing that giving CFO to churches and buildings that has to do with religious activities, schools, and the rest of them has become a taboo, a crime in itself in those regions, which means literally these are no longer part of Nigeria. Whatever mission or policies the draft is intended to subjugate a particular people who profess different religion. Most pronounced the Christian populated communities and settlings within the north. They don't allow them. Systematically are silencing of the people and making it practically impossible for them to strive. If you don't issue CFO to people, citizens who want to do their business, who want to erect their own place of worship, and we've seen the escalations of how the killings, the bringing down, destruction of churches running into tens of thousands. These are parts of the program of destroying the very essence of Christianity and its faith in the region. There's no messing words. People doubting that reality. Are they not aware that Christians are not being given CFO in the north to build churches or schools related to Christianity? Why are the churches being targeted and burned? What is the justification behind all this attack? Churches, processions, vigils are being rounded up and people burnt alive. The properties, the church building collapses, being destroyed. Are the governments or the governors of the north, who happens to be the chief security of the state, are they not aware of this? Imposing mandatory holiday on the Christian population, whereas just for observing the Ramadan, a practice that should be sacred for the Muslim worshippers, everybody will be made to be forced to go on holiday because the Muslims are observing the Ramadan. Whereas in Saudi, considered to be the headquarters of Islamic faith, the Medina, students are going to school while the Ramadan is being observed. You can understand the extremism are taken too far. So there are indices and indications that there is no messing words about the Christian persecution. Look at what the man is saying. Yeah, we are almost are pushed to the point of extremism, well, at the point of extinction, calling for Mr. Trump to expedite his effort to save the Christian population. It is no longer a joke, it's not messing words. So, Ted Cruz's position of findings is in accordance with the current realities, what is on ground, what has been playing out. He said that it's still ongoing, there is a systematic and deliberate intention to annihilate, to subjugate the Christian populations. So, just as one of the um, brethren from the north, also Christian brother from the north, also revealed that this systematic subjugation even extends to the students in admission processes and the rest of them. They're not being given the opportunity to lead their own discipline, choice of discipline, and the rest of them. Even when they are qualified, overqualified for such um, disciplines by meeting up the cutoff marks required for that and other conditions required for that, they are not being given such opportunity. They would rather prefer them to read all these nominal disciplines and the rest of them. The bid to control the entire workforce and subjugate the Christian populations from having such opportunities. So Ted Cruz was right in his submissions. And recall in recent development, a group known as Arewa Republic are now pushing for the Arewa Republic. And upon my findings, I discovered that this Arewa Republic are purely Islamic agenda. It is not just in the interest of the entire northern ethnic nationalities. What they represent is purely Islamic. They are anti-Christian, anti-other religion. So that's why I have come to agree with the Middle Beltans or the North Central ethnic nationalities that they are really not part of the Arewa movement. The Arewa is purely Fulani Caliphate or Islamic Caliphate. So when they are pushing for Arewa Republic and the rest of them, that Nigeria, the division of Nigeria is a tax that must be done, and claiming that the North represents, Arewa represents the North and the rest of them. Well, the very fact that Nigeria is a tax that must be done is not a subject of argument, but rather they have been the ones telling this move because when they are beneficiaries of the government, when they're the one in control of the government, the narrative changes. You see them preaching one Nigeria, preaching in unity we stand. But in real sense, those preaching in unity, we are better off in unity, they don't have that unity in them. They knew. They have never promoted any sense of unity because you can't be talking of unity whereas there is no equity, fairness, and balance in the system. You can't be subjugating, having undue advantage of other regions and other ethnic nationalities, just as the man pointed out from the video clip you just watched before at the beginning of this analysis. You clearly understand that the most pitied ethnic nationality or region is the Igbos. They are being subjugated, marginalized, and the rest of them. It's a systematic, uh, intentional program to push the Igbos and keep them backward. So how could they be preaching in unity we stand and we are better off? Whereas you know The opposite, the reverse is the case. You can't be talking of promoting unity or speaking of unity when you know you are the architect of the disunity. Your body language, your conspiracy of silence, and subjugations entails and speaks loud about your what you represent and the rest of them. So the Cruz is in the right order, in the right position. So calling for Arewa, Republic, and the rest of them, they're not pushing for Arewa and the rest of them, thinking that possibly they would deceive the gullible ones. We understood what they represent. They never represent the integral population of the ethnic nationality that forms the North or that were uh, pushed in the region called North. There is more to this. Having gone through his page, I now understood, yes, indeed, the Middle Beltans, just as the Plateau, Jos, I think Taraba, or any other region who believe they are not pure Northerners, are right for saying so. Because over time they've understood that this Fulani Caliphate, or Arewa in quote, are using them to make up for their political uh, bargaining. And at the end of the day, they are being abandoned or relegated to the background by the same people who believe they are not. But in real sense, what is playing out is uh, use them and dump them mechanism, just use their populations at your own advantage and thereafter discard them and do whatever you want to do. So we can no longer be played or deceived by that connotation otherwise. That's why the Hausa communities are saying we are not part of the Arewas. And the Sultan of Sokoto will no longer be a spokesperson. He's representing the interests of the Arewas, the North, the Fulani Caliphate, which Sokoto is the seat of Caliphate of the Fulanis. So whereas Daura happens to be the seat of power of the Hausas, indigenous communities owns the land, who accommodated the Fulanis. Of course, the historical events and accounts has all these things well documented. It is very unfortunate, of course, that what is happening, they are trying to hide. In fact, the so-called Arewa Republic movement was purely anti-Christians and anti-ethnic nationalities. Their target and focus was to promote and expand the Islamic agenda and program and consolidate that within the northern hemisphere, the northern part of the country, just as we've seen in most recent time, in collaboration with the governors and the institution of the state. You can imagine there are certain policies that do not allow the Christian populations to express their liberty as protected under the Nigerian constitution. So you begin to ask, what kind of a country is this? Practicing different laws at different points. So the Ted Cruz emphatically stating that the Nigerian Sharia's law and other policies, these are other policies that are not inconsistent, that are not in consonance, in agreement with the provision of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. What is playing out? There is a silent war going on, economic, political, and otherwise. Religious war going on, being operated through policy formations and programs tailored towards silencing the Christian populations are now giving them opportunity, of course, to develop. We've seen cases where the local government and schools and facilities sited in predominant Christian communities have been moved from there to other regions where you have more populated Muslim concentration. So these are systematic and strategic and attempt to silence the population of the Christian and deprive them what is due to them. It's another thing raising this concern and possibly another thing acting on it as the preacher emphatically expressed that they want the intervention of the US government. And how far and how swift would that be? Of course, they said, not just coming, but very, very swift. As a matter of urgency, the people needed help, and this help must come very swiftly. And saying that the powers behind the kidnap, the abductions, the invading of communities that is more pronounced here, of course, are powerful powers and voices behind the oppressions, escalations, occupying of forest beds in the southern regions and the rest of just as what we've seen playing out in most recent times, that people have been rounded up, people are no longer safe in their homes and communities. Very unfortunate, but these are realities. You go to bed and not being assured that you might wake up alive or possibly being overrun, including children are being massacred and killed. This has become a recurrent decimal that defied every effort, perhaps by the political class or those in the corridor of power aware of these realities, but what is keeping them from acting or defending the lives of Nigerians who unfortunately are facing the risk of extinction across different regions of this country, all in the name of religious fanaticism and extremism. It is rather unfortunate, and such must be tackled as a matter of urgency. It has become a dilemma and a monster that must be dealt with all sense of seriousness and commitment on the part of the government. It is no longer playing politics or sabotaging the cause of the truth. We do hope that Cruz and other Senate members of the US Senate should do what is right in the interest of humanity. Yes, Nigeria can be practicing two extant laws being imposed on Nigerians. It's either a secular state or the disintegration of Nigeria to save humanity. Possibly, we might be expecting more reactions from the US government upon these findings and development. Let's have your own take and via the comment section. If you're watching us for the first time, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Turn on the notification buttons for more political updates and discourse. Thanks for watching.